On this episode of High Mileage Project German Roulette, I kick a wheel, we undo some stuff, we do up some bolts, inspect some pieces of metal, and find out whether or not the V10 will fire into life again. In the previous episode of Project German Roulette, I rolled the dice on this fairly neglected E60 M5. We dragged it home, and shock horror, we found faults. I immediately got to work fixing the car using a hammer, and much to the commenters' disgust, a good old Italian tune-up on a German car. We ended up with a happy, healthy 102,000 kilometre E60 M5. Having tempted fate long enough, I thought it was probably a good idea to get the rod bearings done. Due to tight tolerances, the conrod bearings prematurely wear in these engines, so require doing sort of every 100,000 kilometres or so. And because I have zero history for this car, I figured it was probably best to get them done. First order of business, just a quick valet. This thing is filthy, and I can't deal with that. Ironically, even my vacuum cleaner has a limp mode. Anyway, buckle up for a bit of a wrench fest. Might need the breaker bar for that one. Oh yeah, they got it. There we go. Alright, up we go, ready for a bit of a wash. Probably shouldn't be doing this in a white t-shirt. But speaking of white t-shirts, if you feel like supporting the channel, head on over to Shop High Mileage and pick yourself up a German Roulette Project M5 t-shirt. This particular design has been an idea of mine for a while. I've got no idea on numbers for these, so this is a pre-order, and I'll ship these for free in New Zealand. Now I won't go too crazy in this area, just a bit of a rinse off. And lastly, the underbody trays. Just a side note, if anyone has one of these knacker ducks for sale in New Zealand, please let me know. Alright, new parts. ACL rod bearings with the increased tolerance. We've got OE rod bolts, OE high pressure Vanos line, new engine mounts because that's a while you're in there job. And we've also got new radius rods because mine are stuffed. various seals and washers and whatnot. Sump gasket. Yeah, let's do it. Tie rods. Control arms. Yep, that nearly got me. Oh yeah, bit of finesse. Power steering lines and other stuff. Servotronic connector. And power steering lines. 22 maybe? Yep. Okay. Underbody brace. Looks like that oil leak was coming from the scavenger pump seal, scavenger pump gasket. So that's good, nice and easy to fix. Nice. Genuine filters though, at least. Pretty bad. Engine mount nut. Nice. And these on. Those are going to be fun to get back on. I already had this engine support member in place, but then realised the airbox was, or the airboxes were in the way, so this is take two. Alright, I think we're ready for the subframe to come down. More power steering line bolts? Yep, I see one. Okay, let's see how we go now. Well, that went pretty well. Must say a transmission jack is a game changer when doing stuff like this. Oh, well that's pretty light really. Oh, that one's still good. Yeah, oh yeah, nice. Good thing we're replacing that. Also, my lower control arms. are also done. Sweet, more parts. Subframe out. That gives us way more room to party. That'll do me for today, I think. Okay, where were we? Just going to start removing stuff that's bolted to the sump now. Sump or oil pan, whatever you want to call it. Power steering line, which does a lap of the engine for some reason. Whoop. More lines. Scavenger oil pump. Harness. Oil level sensor. Tuck that harness out of the way. Alright, I need to get this air conditioning tensioner bracket off. It's going to be very difficult to see what I'm doing, so I might just skip to when I'm done for that. Well, that wasn't too bad in the end. Just released the tension on the AC belt, pulled that out of the way, and that gave me access to that bracket. I know what you're thinking. You haven't drained the oil yet. While we're in here, I've just noticed a couple of things. These bell housing bolts definitely look like they've been undone before. Bear in mind, I've got zero service history with this car, so I've got no idea what's been done. So that sort of indicates the clutch, or at least slave cylinder, has been done at some point. And the SMG pump looks much newer than anything else around it, so potentially that's been done as well. Who knows? E12s on the bell housing. Well, there you have it. The belly of the beast. Alright, let's have a look around here. So far, it looks pretty clean. No debris in either of the oil pickups, which is a good sign. Alright, next up is remove the two oil pumps. Oil pickup tube. Oil everywhere. Oil pump chain tensioner. Sprocket. Okay, low pressure oil pump. Vanos line. This is the one we're replacing, and that's going to be a fun job. Oh, there goes part of the check valve into the oil pan, oil container. Nice, I'm going to have to find that. Got it. There you have it, both oil pumps out. All 10 con rods. All looks pretty good in here so far. I haven't seen anything concerning at all, so that's good. Be interesting to see what the bearings look like, so we'll get onto that. Okay, now I've got good access to the crank. Where are we? I've got this offset ring spinner here, which is perfect for rotating the engine to make it easy to get to each bearing cap. Number one's already in a good position, so we're going to start with that. And then each con rod we do, we're going to have to rotate the crank to allow better access, basically. So yeah, let's do it. Okay, I've just spent the last probably hour getting this set up. This is my little bearing replacement station. So over here is where I'll put the old bearings as they come out. And I've got a checklist down here for each of the torque settings, or the torque stages rather, that's required. So I'm using OEM BMW rod bolts, which have this crazy sequence that requires you to stretch the bolt. And each time you put a bolt in, you need a torque 6 Newton meters, 20 Newton meters, and then torque angle of 130 degrees, and then you repeat that 2 more times after that. So this is going to be fun. Take a deep breath. I'll probably do a couple off camera to get the feel for it, and then I'll show you how I'm doing it. New bearings here. I've got 2 torque wrenches set up, so I'll do the first 6 Newton meters on this torque wrench, and then the 20 Newton meters and 130 degree torque angle on this, my new digital torque wrench. See how that goes. Using a plastic trim removal tool to help remove the bearings, so that's safe around the crank. New rod bolts. So yeah, see how we go. Okay, we're up to cylinder number 4 now. I think I've found a bit of flow. So far, so good. See there, I've marked on the side of the con rod where the upper and lower meet, just so I can get the orientation around the right way when I replace it, because these are unique. The caps are unique to the rods. You can't mess that up. I can't afford to mess that up, rather. I've also marked the old rod bolts just to distinguish them between my new ones, because they're the same bolts. Just a little bit. There we go. Hit it with something soft, and then do your best not to drop it. Or just don't drop it. Would be the best option. Okay, then I push up the rod. This is probably the trickiest part. I sort of push it clear of the crank journal, just so it can't touch it and damage it. Probably can't see much there, but... And then I use this, the old trusty trim removal tool. It is real handy to push the bearing out and gingerly remove it. There we go. And place it down here so I can keep track of things in my highly professional cardboard situation here. And as you can see, this is how the bearings come out, just like that. Put that guy down there. Remove the old sort of, I guess, material left behind on the rod. Just want that to be as clean as possible. Degrease. It's ready for a new bearing. You can see that little notch at the end of the bearing there, goes on the slot. And you can just push it in like that. Liberal amount of assembly lube. So that's ready to go in. Probably difficult to see there, but I've got this trim removal tool with a bit of Scotch cable tied on the end of it. That's just to clean the surface on the rod, as we did with the cap. Degrease it, fresh rag, new bearing. Once the bearing's in place, sort of pull the con rod back down onto the crank. There we go. 2 new rod bolts. Part of the torque requirement is that these are lubed under the head and on the threads. Install the lower cap. Match our paint mark up so we know we've got the cap around the right way. Six Newton meters. Now for cylinder 4, we cleaned, assembly lubed, and 6 Newton meters first torque setting. So I'm going to do that for all the remaining cylinders, and then once they're all in, I'll go through and complete the full torque sequence for the rod bolts. Next up, we're going to complete the torque sequence for the rod bolts, so yeah, this should be fun. Okay, buckle up. Boy, that was a workout. So this car has 102,000 kilometers on it. You can see here plenty of copper showing on the upper bearings. This one here from cylinder 6 was not long for this world. So we definitely caught the motor before it Chernobyl. Look at a couple of the others, not too bad. The crank was actually in good shape, so no marks on the crank, which is good. Well, that's a few torque settings done. Next job is to replace the high pressure Vanos line. First up, drain the coolant. Okay, we need access to the top of that internal Vanos line, which is somewhere in there, so start removing some stuff to gain access. In theory, the fan should just come out now. She's out. I believe that's the one we're after there. So I think I need to remove at least one of these radiator hoses here. Give us a bit more room to play around. Okay, we can better see that banjo bolt there now. It would appear the water pump pulley is stuck. Bit of gentle heat maybe. It's off. Banjo bolt. Do need to move this power steering line out of the way. She's free. The reason we replace it basically is because this flexi joint here can bleed pressure off over time, and that can cause engine codes basically. So, good job to do while you've got everything apart. New Vanos pipe and a new O-ring. So let's try and get it back in there. It's going to be interesting, I think. Might have to get underneath and have a look. Just like that. Vanos line banjo, a couple of new washers. Well, this banjo bolt took me about 45 minutes to get started, and let's not talk about that. Water pump pulley back on, this time with a bit of grease. I will replace the water pump and drive belts sometime in the near future, but for now that water pump feels fine. That idler's not so fine, but for startup it'll be fine. Would help if I put the water pump pulley on the right way. Let's see if I can remember which way the belt went. Well, that took about 3 hours and I expected it to take 1, so that's good. Okay, time for the Vanos pump to go back on. New Vanos pump filter. Good catch. Okay, after a fair bit of mucking around, I managed to get the backlash within spec on the Vanos gear. Oil pickup tube with a new O-ring on it. Putting a bit of blue Loctite on these. I want them coming out. I'm going to clean the outside of the oil pan once it's bolted up to the engine. I think that's just the best way to do it. It saves getting the inside dirty for no reason. And I'll also do these scavenger pump seals. Fresh gasket. And the old cable tie trick to hold it in place. Basically plastic. We've got a chicken or the egg sort of situation here. Can't get the accumulator on with the power steering line in the way, but then the power steering line needs to be in first. So I can't remember how I did it. Okay, I think I need to disassemble this bracket. Time for a spot of spring cleaning in autumn. Let's replace these engine mounts. Bit more cleaning. Okay, big moment. Subframe going back in. Okay, subframe's in. Those power steering lines are a little bit niggly to fit, but got there in the end. I'll drop it down now, we'll refit the airboxes and put some oil in it. Alright, we can finally get rid of this. Classy. Engine mount nut. Oh no, not a good start. I'm using the old shop towel, bit of shop towel stuffed in the socket to hold the nut trick. Seems to be working. This one is the harder of the two. Airbox is back in. New air filtrates. Okay, power steering juice. Bit of engine juice. Well, nothing's leaking yet. I think we're finally ready for some action. Reconnect the battery, or battery, depending where you come from. Alright, here we go. Alright. Fuel pump fuses are back in. There goes nothing. Alright, just going to top off that power steering fluid. Oh yeah, foamy. Round two. Well, besides the power steering, sounds good. No lights on the dash. That's absurd. Well, I guess we'll call that a win. Stoked. Check for leaks. Oh, nothing yet. Well, that's a relief. As you can see by the mess of tools, this has been a pretty big job. Alright, that's where we're going to leave this episode. I've spent way too many hours in the shed lately trying to get this done. It's a mammoth task. Not too complex. It's just a lot of work, especially when you have to film. But I think we've got the result here. Still a lot of work to do on this car to bring it up to spec, but that's a big job ticked off the list. If you're enjoying these videos, hit us with a subscribe. I'll be releasing more as I get further into this car to tidy it up and get it on the road properly so I can actually drive it. But yeah, thanks for watching. See you on the next one.